Hi. So last time we know that Joseph had, with the Lord's help, interpreted a couple of dreams for the prisoners that were down there with him, and it came to pass. His interpretations were right. One got hung, and the other one got his job restored. And you know, the servant that the butler that got his position restored, he had been told by Joseph before he got free. Joseph asked him, "Will you please tell the king I'm down here unjustly? I don't belong down here. Would you please tell the king that for me?" And he said, "Sure." Well, he got up there and got his job restored, and he forgot. He forgot to tell the king about Joseph. For 2 years, he forgot to tell the king. Until one night, when the king had a couple of visions in his head that were bothering him, and like dreams or something, and that made the butler remember Joseph. But 2 years later, and he said, "I know a guy. He's down in the prison down there, but his God helps him to interpret dreams, and they're right." And so the king said, "Well, whoever he is, go send for him. Get him up here for me. Nobody else seems to know what's disturbing me like this." So they sent for Joseph, and he came up, and he met the king of Egypt. And the king said, "I had this crazy, dream-like thing when I was just like in the twilight zone on my couch." And he said, "I dreamt that there were 7 fat cattle that came up out of the river and onto the dry ground, and they started eating grass. But then 7 thin, skinny cattle came up after them out of the river. Just skin and bones cattle came up, and they ate up the fat cattle." And he said, "Then I had another dream that there were 7 ears of corn that were just ripe and plump and full and good. But then 7 bad ears of corn were next to them, and they leaned over and ate up the good ears of corn." And he said, "These are silly things, but they're just going through my head." And Joseph said, "I cannot interpret them, but the God in heaven can, and he will tell me what your dreams meant." And so Joseph proceeded to tell him. He said, "In your dreams," he said, "the 7 fat cattle are going to be 7 years of plenty in Egypt, lots of things to eat. But there's going to be 7 years of famine that's going to devour them, and people are going to forget that they even had good years. Everybody's going to be miserable. There's going to be 7 years of nothing much to eat at all." And he said it's the same thing with the corn, the grain. He said it's 7 years of good grain, but then there's going to be 7 years of famine, bad grain. And he said, "My God in heaven tells me this is what it's going to be." And sure enough, it happened that way. And the king believed Daniel. And he said, "Well, we got to get this guy out of prison. We got to do something about this." And I'm going to leave it there for right now. Bye-bye.